Hey YouTube, long time no see. Um, Boy, what a week this has been. So as you guys know, I've been doing MRT, and it gets really serious when you hit step 5 and forward. Step 5 is really about reviewing all the moral injuries that have been caused and kind of bouncing our own take of them and our response to them, and taking accountability for the actions that we are responsible for in relation to it. So that being said, once you get those moral injuries completed, then your next step is to go through and list all the people that you've hurt and all the hurt you've caused, and you got to do 8 of them. Well, at first, I didn't think I could come up with 8 people. As a matter of fact, I almost didn't. But then when I got really thinking about it and realized just how many people I've actually hurt because of drugs and addiction, I ended up actually having to group one particular set of people into one person as a personification. So, yeah, this last week I've spent primarily writing letters, eulogies, apologies, most of them to people that I don't feel will ever get them, but that's okay because it's for me to get it out and get it off my chest, and really to absolve myself and to, just kind of let go and let God in a way. And then you get into step 7, back up, get into step 6, and step 6 is reconciling moral injury. Now in step 6, you have to do work for others that you know you won't get credit for. So cleaning up the art room was one of mine. Making art for people's offices was another. These are selfless acts, and as we are aware, selfless acts they're not fully selfless. There is always going to be a little bit of positivity or satisfaction in what we do for others. Very, very rarely is there a truly altruistic act that is made or done, because even if all that happens is that we feel good about what we've done, it's not selfless. And it's okay. The goal is to put as much effort into what you're doing for someone else as you would put in for yourself when you're using, when you're drinking, when you're using other people, when you're all the effed up things that we did when we were high and using. We're going to put that energy into something positive that we do for someone else. That's the outcome we want. That's the positive that we want to see. So, you have to do a minimum of 9 hours. I probably put in about 10 to 20 hours. I only accounted for 9 of them because, honestly, I'm not trying to do the bare minimum, but I don't need to go on and on and on, because that also defeats the purpose of the lesson. If what we're doing is truly for someone else and for someone else's benefit, then we can acknowledge that we accomplished what we were tasked with doing without having to go all the way in on it, you know? Because then, yeah, I mean, it's more about you than them. So then you get into step 7. And step 7 is uncertainty. I'm walking and filming. I'm not going to cut or edit it. So you guys are going to get what you get out of this. I'm sorry. But look at that sunset. Isn't it beautiful out here? That being said, yeah, it's been a couple days since I did some walking. That being said, step 7 is when you enter what's called the non-existent phase. Non-existent phase is when you know kind of who you are in the moment. You've kind of reconciled through all the negativity that you carried with you to this point. But now you got to start figuring out, what does my future look like? The future I had before was bleak or negative or dark, or maybe you didn't even have a future. Maybe you didn't expect to have a future. Who knows? The goal of this operation, or this step specifically, is to help you start setting goals for yourself. The goals that you need to start setting for yourself are compiled into a master goal sheet. So the first part of the exercise is to kind of spitball with yourself. See where you plan to be if you only had a year left. What would you do with the remainder of the year that you had left? And then let's say you had 5 years left. What would you do, or what would you do differently if you had 5 years left to live? And what if you had 10 years left to live? And then you take those and you flip them. Now we're going to turn, if I only had a year left, into the positive of, what am I going to be doing in a year? What will I have accomplished in a year? So we're going to take that negative mindset of, I have only a year left to live, and we're going to constructively turn it into, here's what I plan to accomplish in the next year. Now, the first year is going to be very, very specific. And the reason for that is because these are things that you can attain within your first year. Pretty self-explanatory. Your 5-year goals may be a little more vague, and they can be, because your goal here is to project. If I want to have, if I'm 35 credits into my associate degree, I know that I can finish 30 credits in another year. So let's say at the end of the year, I know that I can have my associate finished. Well, if I want to finish my bachelor's from there, then, finish my bachelor's and maybe start on my master's from there. Well, I can make those attainable goals within the next 5 years. Finish my bachelor's degree at so-and-so college, and then go on to finish my, or start my master's degree. So then you get to the 10-year plan. And the 10-year plan, well, I finished my associate in a year. I finished my bachelor's and started on my master's within 5 years. Now I want to finish my master's, so I'll have my master's finished within 7 years, 6 years, whatever it is. After that, let's say I'm pushing for a master's in social work, focused on addiction therapy, right? Well, once I get my degree, the best thing I can do is start looking for jobs and building a resume based around that, so that I can make my 10-year goal to be working in the field of addiction therapy as a social worker. That's a feasible 10-year goal. Now, that's just step 7. Having identified all of this, we can put it all together, and now we have a feasible 1-year, 5-year, 10-year plan. It's been a lot of work, but it's really gotten me thinking, and I really, really like the fact that this program has been very beneficial for me so far as my thought process and the learning that I've done. And I've also been counterbalancing it with art and photography and talking to you guys. You know, my 6-month goal from here, before I even get to a year, is to get to 500 subscribers or 1,000 subscribers. But I'm not pushing for it. You know, this is more cathartic for me just to talk to you guys and get the information out there than it is for me to get more subscribers. But, you know, I can make that a realistic goal. I can start doing more content, uploading more content, and really start buckling down on the YouTube thing as a counterbalance. These are just options. Things that I can ponder. And so the further I go, the more I learn, and the more knowledge that I gain about recovery, the more I can pass on to you guys. Maybe it'll help, maybe it won't. Maybe you're at a point where you don't even believe you're struggling yet. I didn't think I was until I got here and realized how far in I was, how deep I had gotten. So don't ever sell yourself short, and don't ever be afraid to ask for help. You know, if you hit me up on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, I will help you find resources in your area. If you can't find them, I will help you find them. Come hit me up. Hey, you know, I need a hotline, or I need a treatment center, or whatever. That's kind of what I'm trying to push for here. To be a positive outlet for people that are struggling and may not know what it is even that they're looking for. I don't mind. If you guys haven't checked out Cliff Beats, he's another great reactor, has a lot of music going on constantly. He's got an entire Discord set up. I'm part of his Discord. You can find me there as well. Great guy. I definitely recommend checking him out if you haven't or don't. But that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. And just know that I love you, I care, and you're not alone. Have a good night, everybody.